Alright everybody, what's going on? It's GOW here bringing you some ranked TDM on Raven Down. Got two parts to this commentary. The first part I'm going to start off with that applies to everybody. And then the second part I'm going to do that applies to just my subscribers who are interested, those who are interested. It doesn't apply to the community as a whole, but this commentary has two purposes, and the first one is something that I feel like a lot of people in the community should hear, especially those that are YouTubers themselves or closely follow multiple YouTubers. So the first thing I want to talk about, two things. One is what I've been up to for the past few weeks. That's the second thing that I'm going to talk about that doesn't apply to everybody, but I really want to talk to something that I feel should be addressed in the community, and that's gameplays. You know, something that you have to put behind all of your commentaries for the most part. You know, you put a gameplay behind them. It's kind of a cornerstone of the YouTube, of how the YouTubing works. So there seems to be, how do I want to start this out? I didn't really plan this before I went in. I just went for it, which was kind of the theme of this gameplay. And before I start out, let me just point out that this gameplay was the first game that I had played in 3 weeks, because I had just gotten back. It was the first time I had gotten to play since I'd been back, and it had been about 3 weeks since I had last played a game of Gears of War. I hopped into a half a game of Boom Snipes, and then I jumped into a random game, a partyless game of ranked TDM. So that's what this is. That's what this gameplay is. Which brings me to the point of gameplay standards, which is you know, something that people actually get hate for if their gameplays aren't good enough. And if you followed me for a while, or if you know me, I don't know if I've ever said this in a commentary, but I know I've said this a lot to just like my friends, is that I think that a standard for a gameplay is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I'll tell you why. The point of these gameplays, post-production gameplays, is that you have a commentary over them. Correct? Correct, Gilroy, you're so smart. Oh, thanks, guys. So you don't technically need the gameplay to get your point across. You have a commentary, you have something that you want to talk about. Now this is, of course, most of the things that I'm going to be saying here exclude things like commentating over nice clips or stuff like that, like clip of the weeks, or things that specifically are just commentating on the game itself. But anything other than that, like a lot of commentaries that are done. The game isn't necessary to get your point across. So the game is just kind of like the icing on the cake. It's a great little thing to add on top of a commentary that, you know, is something fun to watch while you're listening to something that you want to listen to. So, you know, if only YouTube had a smell sensor where we could also, you know, smell fresh baked cookies while we did all of this, or burning locust flesh, whatever works for you. So that's the whole point of that. So I feel like gameplay standards, it's not about, you know, getting a 23-0 gameplay, because if you follow me, you know, I don't get those. I don't. Mostly because I'm not good enough. And it's not my play style. And I'm not good enough, and I make excuses. But that's not the kind of stuff that I post. Watch this. Okay, so spawn shield, right? And then he's going to come up and get me with the retro. What was I saying? Yeah. I don't get those kind of things. What I post is any gameplay that I find to be entertaining. And this one I find to be, you know, fairly entertaining. I'm mostly posting it to get a point across, because it was the first game that I had played. But as long as it's entertaining, it does its purpose. That is, if the purpose of your video is to entertain. If the purpose of your video is to show off a sick gameplay that you got, then you're going to want a sick gameplay. But if your purpose is simply just to entertain, or to get a point across through a commentary like I'm doing right here, it's just icing on the cake. So as long as it's entertaining, I see no reason why it has to be so good of a gameplay. Now, I mean, if it's one where you sit up top with a Lancer, and, you know, you get maybe 3 kills, you get hit from behind a bunch, you spend a lot of time dead, it goes into a bunch of sudden deaths that end in stalemates because nobody's going to move and nothing really happens, well, nobody wants to watch that. But if it's something where games happen, if there's fun moments in it, you know, even if you had just like I posted a gameplay before that I would not have posted, except for I got one good round in it that was entertaining enough to last for the whole gameplay, in my opinion at least. You may differ. That was my serious talk video. I mean, it was a pretty bad game until this last 2 rounds. There's really nothing to it. So it's just a matter of entertaining. And I mean, montage standards are different, you know. The whole point of a montage is to amaze people, so you want your, But just as far as gameplays go, they're often held to the same thing, where, you know, a good montage clip has to have at least one blindy, or at least a trip, or at least an on-screen trip with a super, or something, you know, like that. Gameplays don't need to be held to any standard like that. Was it entertaining? You know, if you watched it, would it be fun? And I feel like if you're gonna make a commentary, and the commentary is not entertaining without the gameplay itself, of course, excluding, you know, like clips and stuff. The commentary is not entertaining, excluding the, whatchamacallit. The commentary is not entertaining by itself, then it's probably not a very good commentary. And I'm going to go the same thing with the gameplay. If the gameplay isn't entertaining to watch without a commentary behind it, it's probably not that good of a commentary. Or, I mean, probably not that good of a gameplay. But I think, like, if there's a gameplay, that would just be fun to watch, you know? Just a fun to watch, enough happens, there's a couple of cool things, then that's a good gameplay. So I feel like you just hold yourself to that standard. That simple standard of, is my commentary good enough to be able to be posted without a game behind it? Or is my game good enough to be posted without a commentary behind it, you know? If it passes those standards, then I believe that you should be good to go, you know? And if people just did that, they wouldn't stress so much. Now watch this clutch. I'm gonna go Brad made on this guy right here. Bouncing all, oh, never mind, just get Superman. Good job, Gilroy. But yeah, you know, I've been saying this for a while, that as long as it's entertaining, post it. And I got a very good friend, Fourth Prince, or Nova Fourth Prince. You guys might know him, and if you don't, check him out. Of course, I'm going to put a link to the description. He's my man. But he said, even before he started YouTubing, he said, man, sorry, yo, whatever, man. I'm just, you know, not going to really worry about, you know, the gameplays, yo. Just post whatever's cool. That was a horrible Prince impression. My good friend John Owens, who did it much better in Nova News, is not here right now. but I mean, he always just was never really worried about the gameplay standards. He said, yo, man, as long as it's fun, you know, what's wrong with that? You know? Now, granted, part of that is because he didn't think he could get the gameplays, which he has proved himself wrong. He can, and he does. But he doesn't have to. If it's fun for him, and if he thinks it's fun for other people to watch, he's going to post it. And anytime that is boring during the gameplays, which most gameplays have a bit of a down spot, like this one right here, where I'm just sitting here, his commentary makes up for it, you know? I would say that pretty much all of his videos passed both of those tests. His commentaries are good enough without, and his gameplays are good enough without. And, you know, he doesn't have to post a 19-2 or anything like that. His standard is just, is it fun? Is it going to be enjoyable to his audience? And it is, every time. Guarantee. You don't believe me? www.youtube.com/4thivision. You see for yourself, you know? So that's what I'll say. That's the end of my little rant about gameplay standards and how new people especially are being held to these ridiculously high standards that don't need to be, and how people are getting hate for no reason. Now on to the part where I rant about me, and the part where you guys all click X out of the video right now, dude. I don't want to hear about this faggot. It's all good. But for those of you who do, Prince, what I've been doing for the past 3 weeks, and the reason I haven't been uploading much, and the reason I haven't been playing, if you're a friend of mine, is because I've actually you guys might know this, I'm a huge fan of live improv comedy and sketch comedy, whether it be live or on film. And so I went up to the Second City in Chicago, which, if you don't know, is basically the improv and sketch comedy capital of the world. And I spent 2 weeks doing intensive classes for like 7 hours a day there for 2 weeks on half improv and half sketch. That's just what I did up there, and it was fantastic. We worked on it, we wrote sketches, we practiced our improv, and it all accumulated to a show on their main stage, which is where a bunch of big names, such as, you know, like a bunch of people have graduated from Second City, like Chris Farley, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Tim Meadows, both the Belushis, like a lot of people, you know, big names come from the Second City. SNL basically hires out of there. Jason Sudeikis, you know, and so there's that. But I got to actually perform on the main stage, which is where they put all of their biggest shows on that stage. And so that was a really cool experience for me. I met such an amazing cast of people. I was up there. Got really lucky with the group that I got paired up with. And they were just all just so great and talented people. They took even the stuff that I wrote and made it 30 times better, which was just fantastic. And so that was one of the best experiences, you know, I could possibly have, was that right there. So I really did enjoy that a lot. And like I said, I actually got to perform a show where I feel that I did pretty well. except for one line that I did butch, but other than that I did pretty well. And as it turns out, one of my friends from that class was actually related to somebody who is has a career, notable career, probably famous would be a good word to describe him. His name is Scott Adsit, and he's been on various things in American film and television, probably most known for his role on the American television show 30 Rock. He plays Pete Hornberger, one of the writers. So that was pretty cool to get to meet him. He was a real nice guy. Of course, he's a real funny guy, and his nephew was hysterical. Absolutely love that kid. He played in a couple of sketches with me, and he's just always entertaining. Always entertaining. And that was me camping. And you know what? It worked because we had to win this round. Because if I'm going to post this thing on YouTube no matter what, I might as well try and win. That's what I'm going to say. So I spent my 2 weeks doing that, and then when I got back, I was just so busy. I've been accumulating with a bunch of things, and trying to get ready for school, and I won't be able to post as much then. So my posts are going to be slowly getting less and less. Hopefully, I'll be able to keep up once school starts at about 1, maybe 2 a week, weekends only, really. Then that'd be great. But definitely no promises by any means. But that's what I've been doing. And as much as it pained me not to be able to post, I really did enjoy it. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be sitting here in front of my mic pretending that people care what I have to say. I always enjoy that. I really do. But it's something that I'll definitely miss, and something that I look forward to doing again sometime. So if those of you who were actually wondering, like, oh, where's Gilbert? Why hasn't he been spamming my sub box like he usually does? That's why. I was spamming other people's sub boxes with improv, and their sub boxes were a stage. I don't know where I was going with that. I really don't. I really just don't. So this gameplay is wrapping up. For those of you who have lasted this long, thank you very much. Of course, I definitely want you to really think about what I said about those gameplay standards and cut people some slack on their gameplays. But just think about how much you enjoy even the gameplays that aren't so good. You probably still enjoy them pretty good. So let's see what I ended up going here. I don't quite remember. I didn't do fantastic, but I went 10-7 for my first game, so not bad. But I wanted to post it to show that gameplay standards don't matter. Alright, you guys have a good one.